Morning, seventh graders. Happy Friday morning. Last day of school for the week. Last videos you have to watch of me for 2 whole days, so yes. Today's lesson is lesson 3 in our language arts. Our title is quotation within a quotation. Does anyone remember what we use quotation marks for? We use it for the exact words our speaker is saying, correct? Today we're learning about how we can have quotation marks within a quotation of what someone is saying, all right? It may sound confusing, but hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it, all right? Our first paragraph says, sometimes we have a quotation within a quotation. The speaker may be quoting a verse or a saying, or he may say the name of a poem or title. How do we punctuate it? All right, so I have their sentences written up here on the board. The first sentence says, I like the poem, The Raggedy Man, when Mom says it, Jean said. All right, so we know that our quotation marks need to go around what our speaker is saying. And Jean said this whole, I like the poem, The Raggedy Man, when Mom says it. She said that whole sentence, all right? So we know that our quotation marks are going to have to go around what our speaker said. All right, let's jump to the top of page 11 and let's read this other sentence. To set off a quotation within a quotation, use single quotation marks. All right, so to set off our quotation within a quotation mark, we're going to use single quotations. All right, so we have our poem here, the title of our poem, and remember, we always put quotation marks around our title of our poem. So we're just going to put single quotations on either side of our poem. All right. They have another example sentence. They have, read, it was a miracle, and answer the questions on page 14, Mrs. Yoder said. All right. So Mrs. Yoder said this whole thing. Read, it was a miracle, and answer the questions on page 14. All right. So this is what she all said. Now, is there a title of something within our quotation? Yeah, she said, read, it was a miracle, so this is the title of something. So we're just going to put our quotations around our title again within our quotation mark, all right? Moving on to the next paragraph, it says the same rules that you learned for quotation marks apply for single quotation marks. Put commas and ending punctuation marks inside the ending quotation mark, all right? So we have, Brother Andrew said, remember God promised, my grace is sufficient for thee, all right? So what did Brother Andrew say? He said this whole sentence, right? Remember God promised, my grace is sufficient for thee, all right? So we have our quotation mark here and here of what Brother Andrew said. Now, is he quoting anything within the quotation that someone promised or said? He's quoting what God promised, right? So this is what God said. So we're going to put our quotation mark here of what God promised. And at the end, we just put another one right here. It kind of looks like there's 3 marks at the end, but we just kind of separate them a little bit. And then we just put it there at the end, all right? To include our ending punctuation, if our ending punctuation goes with our quotation within our quotation. Everyone take a deep breath. All right, moving on to the next part. And this is the same thing. We're not learning anything new. I mean, yeah, we are actually. But if the ending question mark applies to the main quote, but not the quote within the quote, put it between the single and double quotation marks, all right? So I have this sentence up here on the board. It says, didn't Mom say, do your homework right away, James asked, all right? So this up here, this is what James said. He said this whole sentence. Now, didn't Mom say, do your homework right away? So, is our direct quote, what is our quotation within our quotation? Is there anything that someone said within our main quotation, right? Mom said, so here's our quotation within our quotation. Do your homework right away. Now, is the quotation within a quotation, is that a question? Do your homework right away. Doesn't sound like a question. It sounds like a command. Do your homework right away, all right? But if we look at the whole quotation, didn't Mom say, do your homework right away, James asked? So that means a question is being asked. But is our direct quotation a question? I mean, not our direct quotation, our quotation within our quotation. Is that a question? No, it's not. So we're going to separate and we're going to put our question mark on the outside of our quotation because it does not apply to our quotation within our quotation, all right? Hopefully, I forgot to put remember to use commas to set off your quotation within a quotation. The same rules that you have learned for quotation marks apply for single quotation marks, all right? So hopefully this isn't overwhelming, but the same rules that we use these kind of quotation marks for, we use our single quotation marks. So the only thing that's different is we use our single quotation marks when we are punctuating a quotation within a quotation. And that can be the speaker may be quoting a verse or a saying, or he may say the name of a poem or the title of something or something like that. That would be how our speaker would be quoting something else, and we're going to put that with single quotation marks, all right? If you have any questions on that, don't be afraid to video call me or ask me some questions on that if I did not explain it properly. For numbers 2 through 4, all you're going to be doing is adding single quotation marks. And then for 5 through 9, you're going to be adding single and double quotation marks where they're needed, all right? And you have a nice long paragraph to copy for your penmanship. So today for lesson 3, it's Friday, you may skip your penmanship for today, all right? You do not have to do your long penmanship paragraph on page 13, 31. You may skip that today, all right? That is all for that. I hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy the sunshine. And hopefully we can get back to school soon and have everything normal again. Have a great weekend, guys. I will see you on Monday.